Hey, and welcome back to another review. I got a little bit of overcast, so it's rainy, so excuse the gray footage. But no, I wanted to come and discuss Kenya Barris's Black AF. Initially, I saw the show whenever it first hit Netflix, and I didn't want to offer up an opinion because I wanted to actually dig a little deeper to find out where he was going when I initially saw this, I was thinking one thing, and after considering the recent interviews that have taken place, I now want to chime in with my opinion. Initially, when I heard the title Black AF, my mind went to the blackest images in my. I'm expecting to see the blackest images of all time. So I'm looking to see Malcolm X riding in a black Knight Rider car with a black beret on, with black leather and a black Olympic glove, single glove. Like, I'm expecting the most black prolific imagery I've ever seen before. However, after considering Will Packer's interview this morning with the Breakfast Club, I now know it was a play on words, which makes total sense because that's what my initial critique was going to be. Is that I think if the name would have been different, you wouldn't have had any of the Kenya Barris wouldn't have had any of the controversy at all. Like, if it would have been named something like Rich AF or Family AF, we wouldn't even be here. We would just be saying how it's a take on being unfiltered family reality series. And I do like the aspect of the daughter filming and adding that perspective, kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. And also, I really enjoyed the fact, now that I think about it, he comes across like Al Bundy a little bit. So I do. So, like, if anybody said anything, I don't know. I haven't read the reviews. Anything bad about Kenya Barris's acting? I enjoyed it. I thought he was funny. So let's dive into the actual episode. So there's 8 episodes. I want to say they're like 30 minutes apiece. They're all relatively named the same thing, and pretty much the theme of because of slavery, which I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I felt about that part. So, to me, the problems that I had with the show were all logistical. Like, the names of each episode, the name of the actual series, and, like, how it was actually advertised to consumers. So, other than that, if you strip the paperwork, I call it the paperwork items, out of the way, you're left now with the actual wife and children and the actual characters within the show. I did like the children. They are, if anything, if they're going to do a second season, please let these kids do what they do great. When I tell you they tickled me, especially in the trip to, is it Bali? Oh, I was laughing, especially when they stole the golf. That was my, like, I was cracked. I was so tickled. I love anything about little kids acting like little kids and wild. So episode 8 was like the best. I was so tickled. So if it's going to go down the arena as being a family show like that, let the kids shine a little bit more. Especially thinking about kids. Something to think about. Here's the idea. I kept wondering if the friend was secretly the daddy of the baby child. Let me say why. It always seems like something was kind of sleazy about the best friend, especially when the wife was in the room, and it could have just been happenstance. But then I thought, well, is he the daddy of little baby Brooklyn? Like, I kept thinking, like, it's really weird. So if you wanted to, like, you know how like Martin had their bruh man or stuff like that, this could be like a secret, kind of like bruh man, in a sense that no, or like when it was speculated Tommy didn't have no job. This could be speculation of whether your best friend Kenya Barris is actually the daddy of, well, alluding to that he could be the dad of the baby. That would be the baby child. That would be funny to me. But not really saying that he is. And then that could be an episode of y'all doing y'all genealogy with 23andMe, and deep down you trying to figure out whether or not that baby's yours or not. That would be so funny. Also, the Juneteenth episode kind of was, it was too much going on. I like the idea of bringing in, see, that's one thing I love about the African American community. No matter how rich you get, your family gonna tell off on you. Meaning, like, you could be Hasa Diddy $1 million person, because I have someone in my family, they do very well. As soon as we went to their funeral and the cousins and stuff started coming, all that talking about going on vacations to Cape Cod and stuff like that. Your first cousin is in here with a Raider on this so-called bougie event with a Raiders jersey on, drinking a malt liquor while eating sunflower seeds. So it was like, it's only so much bougie African American community can be before they family tell off on them. So I like that, but I think trying to push it in with the African American art, it was like too many themes going on. I think you're trying to condense and compact and get as much in as possible, versus the whole focus of the Juneteenth episode should have just been the family. And all that telling off on your swag, like meaning like you got all this swag and your family still hood as hell. And also I think that was even an episode that was blended up with the movie that the material you thought was weak and didn't like, and you was trying to assess whether or not who all liked the movie. I think that should have been a separate episode. I mean, separate, like the whole idea where the movie wasn't that great, or the one where the collectives came together on the FaceTime, which was an awesome idea. Like, man, that was so dope. That was so dope to put all you collectives in on a FaceTime call, because I would have loved to be a cricket on the wall, and how the end ended up being, which I knew it was going to be Lena Waithe was going do you like that? So that was genius. But as far as like the first episode was difficult for me, it wasn't that funny, and I think it was trying to catch its flow as a pilot. By the second and third show, I was ready to go, ready to groove in with it. The idea of partying with your daughter, that was interesting to me, because like how I was raised. If my mama would have caught me out, for one, my mama didn't frequent. I would have never ran into my mama, but if she would have caught me, she'd have killed me in front of people. So to see the liberalness is in parenting now was interesting to me. Like, we both hot at the club. The boyfriend of the oldest daughter is interesting to me. I think that could even be dived deeper into, like, what is she if she cheats on him or something like that, because that's not typical of a dad and daughter combination. What would that look like if you found out your oldest daughter was cheating on her boyfriend, or was a cheater? So I would like to see, that type of thing. I'm trying to think of what else. The other episodes. Rashida. Okay, so that was, I think, the problem with the colorism thing. I think the title of the show is why people were led to say things about the colorism aspect. I don't necessarily have a problem with the fact that with the color aspect, because it is a draw on your family. However, I think it would have been nice to see do a deeper dive into Rashida's character, on how I can relate to an individual who, because that's what all of this, I guess, conversation has led to, is that clearly there must be a division in how lighter complected individuals relate to darker skin complected individuals. I'm so thankful I've never had that issue. My mom is grew up lighter complected, and her whole entire family was lighter complected, and my dad was more my color. Some of them were lighter. However, all of my mom's children were my color except for the baby child. And so it never, like, colorism never came up in my family, because I don't know why. Maybe we were raised in spaces that we were all considered black. Like, and I think I would like Rashida to challenge that. Instead of being the character that is the silent feminist, I'm gonna do what I want and my husband gets on my nerves, Rashida could have been the character to challenge those things that she has encountered in times that she's gotten over. So I see Brisha Webb was her friend. Maybe that could have been, instead of them talking about more silliness, maybe do a deeper dive, because like, you have the platform to still be funny and still do deeper dives on these conversations that may not be appropriate for ABC. So maybe she do a deeper dive with Brisha, where the conversation isn't necessarily hysterical, but more or less about a serious moment about colorism within, like, when she was practicing law, because that is a real thing. I just read an academic journal article about facades among attorneys, and then an individual found through their study that they found, once they did all the work to be hired as an attorney, the things that they faced due to colorism within their particular organization was also enough for individuals to either A, wear a facade or just leave the field altogether. So the fact that she's actually an attorney, and you can look this up, I think it was published in 2019 or 2020 article about facades, and the study was done specifically on minority attorneys. But looking specifically at colorism within the workplace, or even colorism that she had to face, and then the obstacles she may have faced with being with Kenya Barris as a husband. I think that the platform has started on the hinges of being funny. However, I think where it could be considered black AF is that you can thread any serious conversational moments. I know it starts off with the daughter feminist to go off to college. Maybe how you would do it for a second season would be maybe the daughter secretly sets up cameras all around the house. You guys don't know y'all are being filmed because she wants to do a bigger documentary or something. Like, I was trying to figure out a way to then make it be able to flow into not only being funny, but what I would do with the second season is address all of the issues you felt that Kenya, and I'm directing this at Kenya, that you felt that you faced in order to, once you didn't, all the backlash you may have faced, that you didn't think you were going to realize was going to happen by putting out this show. That would be my whole basis for second season. And I would make some of it funny. I would make some of it like these are serious conversations we need to have, because you brought up some interesting points where you were on TI. I personally didn't have an issue with the show because I watched Blackish and Grownish. Mixedish kind of didn't resonate with me as much. So I'm used to it, and also I'm used to the different spectrums of color, so it didn't necessarily initially bother me. I do agree with a lot of individuals who had an issue with it not aligning with the idea of being black AF. How are you going to be black AF and you not have a wide spectrum of colors on the screen? So I agree with that. My next thing that I would consider is, then what experiences are these children having? I saw, is it more race-based or socioeconomically based? Because I saw where the daughter, the scary daughter, basically the Diane of this show, was having issues with, I think she was growing into her body, if I remember. Something happened and Rashida was talking to her, and I was curious to know, like, what issues that they may be facing at school, which I don't really think kids are, I don't know, especially with being in an affluent school district, I don't know if they would be facing the challenges that children may have faced 20 years prior. I don't know. So you got, I think people are up in arms because you have the platform, you have the material, you have the actors, you have everything to have a dynamic, compelling show. I just feel like it was just, some of the things were just misguided or mistriggered. So you can't change the name of the show at this point. It's moving forward. So build it in. Let all of the criticism you have received be your material. I would turn this show back on its viewer or its critic. That's what I would do. I would turn the show back on its critic, make it comical, and then bring in those serious elements, and everything you heard or faced, I'd be like, let's go. It's game time. I'm gonna mess with y'all. It would even be worse than now having a conversation with your fellow peers like the Will Packers and the Ava DuVernays and the Lena Waithe, to see other ways to challenge those thought processes, and even I would get with this gonna sound crazy, but any friends that you have that are sociologists or anthropologists, to weave in some underlying things that individuals have not thought about before. And how some of these themes, the things that you may have heard, are reoccurring. That these are things that there's nothing new under the sun, and a lot of the criticism is just, some of it I felt was out of bounds. Like, I think you were saying, like, your daughter and your wife, or people were critical directly to them. It's out of bounds and out of boundaries, and it's very highly disrespectful. Just because I don't agree with you, it's just a matter of me clicking off my TV. I thought it was funny, and okay, I forgot about this, the workplace scenes. Those were extremely funny to me. Because I've been in those spaces. I've been the person who needs to lead the meeting as a female, but we're expected to be there, especially as an African American female. Also seeing how there was like favoritism, individuals that probably should not have been at the table was parlayed up at the table and was the most comfortable. I would say the biggest situation I've had take place at the table when I'm in a work environment is looking at individuals who may not be as qualified for the position, but they be considered the most, the best idea givers in the whole wide world. The individuals who talk so much junk about the organization and away from the table are the golden children. And here it is, I could pour my heart and soul into a project and be overlooked or challenged or like I just totally eliminated and obliterated. So I would love to see more work scenes and then stepping away from the table and having the workers work on projects. If they give you 8 or 10 more shows, you have so much dynamic material because the workplace on some of these could be 5 to 10 minutes on just per episode. Especially with individuals having babies, what does that look like in the workplace? How the man, it looks totally different. What are some other things? Aesthetics, how individuals look at work, some of those laws that are recently in place about individuals just being able to wear their hair. So that could be an episode that would be ironic. Maybe you saying, get this guy out of here, I don't like his hair. And they coming back with a loss. Like, it's just a lot of funny things that could happen with the workplace situation. So I bid you, because I know art is hard, I really hope that you get this thing afloat. Continue to bring art because you already have the platform. I think it's the hardest thing when an individual doesn't know how to enter the arena to give ideas. I would love to be that person sometimes at the table who could just give support, not necessarily being, a big deal, but just being able to hear the ideas at the table and contributing those stories, because I had so many interesting stories that have taken place that have dealt directly with some of those workplace scenes. Other than that, everything was cool. I don't have any other object. It was just a show. Like, I didn't get the backlash personally. I did get what individuals were saying about being a wide spectrum of colors on the screen, which is when I go back and say just change the name. I would have said change the name of the show. I would have said Family AF or Rich AF or Ironic AF, Stereotypes AF. But as far as once you're in it's hard to sell an idea of a show within a certain social economic bracket, and individuals you are expecting to actually watch the show are not of that same privilege. And I know individuals, we look at individual Instagram accounts and everyone looks like they're social and economically doing very well, but after being post COVID-19, it's very apparent that individuals are not in the social economic space. We are not in an affluent space that we think we are. And we're all one epidemic or all one challenge or one situation away from being in a very interesting situation. So I would just say, and I have to sometimes check myself, and not necessarily with my socioeconomic privilege, but the skill sets that I acquired that sometimes I don't think is a big deal. But having just basic computer skills at this point in time is putting an individual in a certain knowledge, basically have an increased amount of knowledge and skill capital that they're unaware of. So sometimes we have to be mindful of individuals who may be advocates of our show who don't understand the social and economic that you're trying to display. And I know for me, that wasn't necessarily a challenge to watch for me because I have been around individuals who may be in a social economic bracket and they're not happy. So, and that could be a story to tell. Maybe you have an individual that you know that's making tons of money, because there has been high suicide rates among individuals who are in a certain socioeconomic bracket that you're like, I don't know why they have the best job. And there's one person I'm thinking of in particular that it broke my heart because they were my guru. Like, they were gurus to me, that they had the best job. They would travel, eat food, great life. And when it came back that they had committed suicide, So I would say that's even an idea for you to consider as well, like happiness and money and what does that mean. So anyway, I've made this 20 minutes way too long. I'm gonna try to break this down into smaller chunks. But I do. This is good. It's good conversation. At the same time, I really do hate you had to take the backlash, but it is what it is. Sometimes we underestimate the reception of our ideas before sending it forward. And I'm sure there was a round table to approve this. It probably made total sense, but when it hit promo, when it hit marketing, I don't. Because how it was advertised to me was all the complaints. It was in my YouTube algorithm. It was so many YouTubers like pushing back. That's how it came. I didn't even see any of the initial promo. But when I went and checked it out, I thought I was really going to see. In fact, I was bracing myself to be like, oh, this is going to be a mess or trash. But when I got to watching it, I was laughing. And towards the first couple episodes, I was like, But when by the time they got to Bali and they had the nanny, I was so tickled by them kids. That's their bread and butter. Them darn children cheering. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.